Video diary 5286. Laugh out loud. Ha ha ha. No, I was talking on the phone with someone that I love and was telling him about all the stuff that's going on in my life and whatever, and discussing the whole lifting of the restrictions and what that means for people as far as masks and who should stay home, who should not. And then I'm going on to these public sites talking about whether or not people should wear masks. And I've raised the awareness out there. I've said to everybody, this virus is no joke. If you are majorly immunocompromised, you need to stay home. You need to social distance. You need to wait for the vaccine to come out. Do not put yourself in harm's way. I mean, I've even risked friendships. Like, I seriously risked friendships by alerting the people in my world. Now we are coming up to a point to where we're realizing who the people are going to be susceptible to this virus, who's going to survive it and who's not going to survive it. Well, we've seen that those that have asthma and respiratory issues are going to be very susceptible. Also, if you have major predispositions, yeah, you're going to be susceptible to the exacerbation of your predispositions. And there is no way to protect everybody from this virus. There is no way. You can wear a mask. You can wear a full body condom. You could even stay home and not at all go out there and only get your stuff delivered by someone who will put your items in some kind of box to kill the virus before you actually take it into your house. I mean, you can go to that extent, to that great lengths to try to live like as if you're hermetically sealed from the world. And that's not at all a reality. Okay? Those that are weak and immunocompromised are the ones that are very communicable, like even more communicable than those that are asymptomatic. Yeah, asymptomatic people can be also communicable, but the ones that are really communicable are those that are immunocompromised that will suffer symptoms once they get in contact. And those are the ones that need to stay home. They say it anyways, if you're sick, stay home. When you're sick, you're communicable. Okay, that's the whole point of staying home when you're sick and you're communicable. Okay, so at this point, now we are discovering that do we trample on the freedoms and the mobility of those that are strong to protect the weak? So I was called selfish yesterday by someone I love because I'm like, hey, I've sounded the alarm. I've risked friendships. I risked sounding like a freaking psycho person in a world where people don't really understand how severe this virus is. I've done my part. I've said it all. I've showed you, okay, when you're immunocompromised and you have predispositions and, you have all this in your family, should you really be planning events? Should you really be mixing in with other people? Should you really be playing as if this doesn't exist? Okay, it's not a concern to some people, so fine. I've sounded the alarm. I've risked friendships. I've done whatever I needed to do to make people know the severity of this. Now the government's trying to figure out, the government now is figuring out that those that are strong enough to handle the virus don't want to be suppressed and be forced to wear a mask because there are those that are weak that can't handle the environment. No matter what, you're going to have to deal with this virus. There is no amount of masks. There's no amount of wearing a condom, a full body condom. There's no amount of anything that you can do to protect yourself. There's not even no amount of gear. PPE is going to mitigate your exposure when you live in a world where this virus is going to find its way. Okay? So, but I'm not going to wear a mask. Right. Selfish is keeping silent, right? But here's the thing. Either you stay at home and you let others do what they got to do, or you sound the alarm and then let others make the right decision for them. So yesterday, it was my mom and we were talking about this, and she says she thinks I'm selfish. And I understand that because I know her point of view. Her point of view is coming from the very Democrat point of view, where you have to take care of the weak, whether or not they need to be taken care of or not. And at some point, I have to say that, I can't, hey, Kayla, I can't control those that don't receive my information. I can't control those that think that they are okay with the environment. I can't control that. If they choose knowingly, despite all of the evidence, if they choose to mix in with a group of people and they know how aggressive this virus is, it's out of my hands, out of my control. But if I know I'm strong enough, it's not for me to determine whether or not they are strong enough. Okay? It's not for me to determine that. So at some point, people are going to have to take personal accountability for how they adapt to this environment. And if you have trouble adapting to this environment, you have predispositions, you have issues, and you're going to have to be the one to stay at home. You're going to have to be a prisoner in your own home, because no matter how many masks I wear, no matter how many gloves I wear, it's not going to stop you from contracting the virus if it's meant to be in your world. I can't protect those that don't protect themselves anyways. When you are that immunocompromised, you haven't protected yourself for years. This virus is not going to be all of a sudden now, you're going to be protected by those that are stronger than you. No, you're not. If anything, the strong are going to basically take down the weak. Unless the weak are smart enough to wait for this vaccine, if they think this vaccine is going to be the end all be all. And then you wear your full body condom, you wear your mask, you wear your gloves, and you stay at home and limit your social interaction. And if you choose not to limit your social interaction and you want to be out there with everybody else as if you were strong and you're wearing a mask and all that stuff, which is not going to help you anyways, and you expect everyone else to wear a mask, then that is kind of like, that's basically communist. That's like imposing your will on others. And that is a very Democrat point of view. I will actually say it is that's why you have the split between the Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats and the communists want to suppress everyone else's freedoms, no matter how much they're able to handle the environment for the good of the world. And then the Republicans are like, hey, I can handle the environment. I can make the money. I can go and compete. And I'm sorry if you can't, but why should you suppress my ability to shine because you don't have that ability? And that's why we have this split in our politics. It's this healthy versus the unhealthy, the haves versus the have-nots, the Democrats versus Republicans, the conservative versus the liberal. I mean, you can name it, anti-vax versus pro-vax. I mean, you can name every for and against argument out there, and it's the same thing. So now it comes down to personal responsibility. If you can't handle the environment, then you do everything you can to protect yourself. Don't expect someone else to protect you, because believe me, the government couldn't protect you from this virus. It's out there. The vaccine will either help somebody or hurt someone relative to their predispositions. So it's not for me to say whether or not someone should get a vaccine or not get a vaccine. It's up to a doctor. A vaccine is like a cure. It's a stay of execution. It delays the inevitable. It may help someone transition that is not going to do my jelly juice, but it may, hey, if they can't handle the vaccine, then they sure as hell can't handle this virus when it comes into their environment naturally versus unnaturally through a vaccine, if you want to characterize it that way. But no matter what, whether it's a vaccine or whether it's finding the virus in the environment, if you don't have what it takes, you're going to have complications regardless. So now we're going to find out exactly how vaccines play a part and have actually helped humanity. Okay? And so once they lift the restrictions, because their whole quarantine was a fact to get people ready and to get the infrastructure ready for the deluge of people that are going to drop like flies because they don't take this serious, because they don't see the major numbers that they were projecting based upon Wuhan and Italy, because we acted pretty quickly and closed businesses down. We put everybody inside quarantine. I mean, the media really, really made sure that you guys stayed inside and stopped the social distance or stopped the social interaction. But wait, the virus doesn't mutate out of existence. It's still here and it's mutating. My friend had exhibited some very aggressive symptoms last night. Okay? And so this virus is continuously to mutate. And right now you're not seeing the reality of how aggressive this virus is, because you're not getting the massive viral upload until you go and socially interact with a bunch of people who are communicable, who are strong and communicable. And then you will figure out how strong you are, how adaptable you are to the microbiome. because viruses are part of the microbiome, parasites, protozoa, proteins, bacteria, fungus are all part of the microbiome. And if you're trying to mitigate all of those and you're trying to kill the bacteria, kill the parasites, kill the viruses, you can't kill any of that stuff. You may render it chemically inert for very temporary, but you are also made up of the microbiome. So when you start applying poisons into your environment as well as to yourself, what's a poison? When you're trying to kill off cell replication at the micro level, which means that is the parasites, that is the protozoa, that is the proteins, that is the parasites, that is the viruses. When you're trying to mitigate replication at the micro level, you are essentially shortening your telomeres, your lifespan at the macro level. So no matter what, all of you are going to figure out where you stand with this virus. So no, I'm not going to wear a mask. I have no need to. If you feel you need to wear a mask, wear a mask. But you're not going to impose your weaknesses upon me. I will not go to someone's house that I know has weaknesses unless they're perfectly fine with it. And even then, I'm still reticent to go to people's houses that I know are fighting a disease. I don't want to go to people's houses that are fighting a disease. But if they invite me and they expect me to go, or else it's my friendship's on the line, fine. But I really don't want to. I actually like the social distancing. I like the no expectation of having to go and interact with people on a continuous basis. Because I like the solitude. I like looking inward. I like studying. I like just analyzing my whole environment and the world and figure out where can we strategize to make this world better. And when you're always distracted by some party or some, activist stance or alcohol or something else, when you're distracted on a continuous basis, you'll never improve your life. And you'll always be looping in the same stuff over and over and over again until you have nothing left and you recycle back into the universe. So I actually am enjoying this quarantine. But I'm not going to compromise my comfort level because you're that weak. And that is the crux of the matter. And that's the difference between Democrat and Republican, which is why I switched from being a Democrat and have figured out that Republican really is the way to go. It's a mixture of socialism and capitalism and survival of the fittest. Take care. Bye.